Welcome, everybody. This is Mary Beckman from Metaphysical Meltdown. So happy to have my friend Derek Condit on today. He's a natural energy healer, intuitive and Shungite beekeeper, and so much more. And as I was just telling him a moment ago, I have several pages of questions and all kinds of things in my head. And I've had the pleasure to listen to him live and on video a ton, just a ton. So there's always something cool and something new and exciting that he wants to talk about. And of course, today we want to talk about everything that he wants to talk about. So we already made an agreement that it'll be a conversation and he's going to bring through all kinds of cool stuff, whatever it may be. So everybody, it's a beautiful day here in Tacoma, I have to say. Sun is shining and there's birds out there and clouds in the sky. And so I'm happy to welcome Derek. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Oh, thank you, Mary. I appreciate it. I'm really happy to be here.
Well, what's cool about you definitely is the whole Shungite story. And I was watching you on video last weekend with Metaphysical Karen. Oh my gosh, that was fun. And she was talking about how she was pronouncing it Shungite. And I thought, well, Shungite, that's Death Row Records guy.
Yeah, you're right.
That made me laugh. So I missed part of the interview because I was laughing. I have to go back, but she sure is fun to listen to with you. And you said all kinds of neat stuff. So there's one part that I want to ask you about. Definitely was the frequency changes and the disappearances. And I'm going to just make a note on that. But what I really don't know very much about, I know some about you, but I don't know how you got to the point where you discovered about putting the Shungite and what it is. You'll have to say, because this is going to go out on YouTube and there'll be lots and lots of people that might never have heard you talk before. You'll have to describe what that is. But could you tell us about, how did you figure this out, the bee thing?
Oh, sure. Actually, as far as bee and the Shungites and using them on the bees, I guess on this interview, because you know, the name and our audience, that's great. So I don't really have to hold back too much. Well, so I can just kind of be blunt. So it started with the bees and Shungite, and we call them Shungite beehives. Well, it was actually my guides that told me. So I was working with Shungite on many levels for healing, for energetic work, and for attenuation of harmful frequencies and different things, and different ways. And then I was told, well, and I had 2 beehives, probably 30 foot outside my front door. And they said, well, take the Shungite to the beehives. And so even me, for those of you that know me, I jokingly say this, woohoo. So for me, I'm like, okay. And they're saying, take these magic black rocks out there and put them by the bees. Well, and I already, I say magic black rocks jokingly, because by then I'd already worked with and experienced Shungite on many levels. So it was legit, and what it was, as scientists were finding out as well. So I basically, as I would suggest we all do, I listened to my guides, went out there with 3 nuggets and sat them right at the entrance of the beehive. And that video today is still online at shungitebeehives.com, right in the front. And what you'll see is 3 small Shungite nuggets placed at the right side entrance of the beehive. And 95+% of the bees immediately went over to the Shungite and started walking on it. And that was, I'm pretty good, but I didn't train all those bees to do that. I wish I was that good of a trainer, but no. So the bees did that, and what they actually got from that and received was, we call it earthing or grounding. So it gave them an energy clearing, and the bees knew it because they're not worried about explaining things. They just know what works and what feels good. Mm-hmm. So they were drawn to it energetically, walked on it, the 3 nuggets I'm talking about, and then went about their day, foraging, getting pollen, nectar, and whatnot, and then coming back. And what we realized, the losses started getting less. So they call it colony collapse disorder. And in short, it's when a beekeeper will go out in the morning and see no bees at his beehive or her beehive. And what happens is the bees go out foraging, and then because of lots of reasons, one of them, harmful frequencies and cell phone towers and the like, disrupting their, what we can call ley lines or their navigation patterns. So they just don't return home. And that's called colony collapse disorder. You never really find out the reason why the bees weren't there. So what we found after adding the Shungite nuggets to the beehive, we had no colony collapse disorder that first year. And then it went on and on continually from there. And each year we would do a little bit more. So by the second year, we took the Shungite powder, blended it into paint, and then painted the exterior of the beehives. And you only paint exterior beehives because of the chemicals in paint. You don't want them off gassing in the hive, harming the bees. So we painted the outside of the hive. They term these a Faraday cage in essence in the military and governments, and they use them for solar flares, for nuclear wars, things like that, to protect sensitive electronics. Well, bees are sensitive too, so we want to protect them from these harmful frequencies. So by adding Shungite nuggets, so in essence, the bees could, again, earth or ground, hug a tree, same thing us humans do, or get our bare feet in the earth or sand or water. There's moving, I won't get too sciencey here, but because of the moving electrons, that's why we actually ground that excess or overage of energies. And on the 3D, we call it electrons. That moves our body, and then we heal ourselves. The bees work the same way. So I gave them, in essence, well, and literally Shungite at their doorstep to walk on as they come and go. And they do that. The bees will land. I have hours of video footage of the bees just coming in and just landing right on the Shungite. And that's only a small percentage of their whole landing strip, let's say. So there's no mistake on why they're doing it. And then the fact that we've had no colony collapse disorder losses ever since starting Shungite. We've had losses from freezing or wasps or things like that. Shungite's not going to help, keep them warm, but it does with the frequencies. So it's kind of like the canary in the coal mine. The bees are so small, they're really hypersensitive to frequencies, but don't let that be lost. We're sensitive as well to frequencies, of course. And I think we've all seen the studies, or at least heard about, or maybe read some articles of frequencies being harmful. So they are, but basically, again, just to answer your question, the guide, so I get no credit really other than being the guy that basically finally listened and paid attention and went out there and did it. And I was just as excited as anybody else that comes to. So yeah, it was one of those things that were just meant to be. It happened, and then it kind of exploded from there. And now there are Shungite beehives on all continents. They're around the entire planet. I've lost count of how many apiaries or beehives there are. It's literally worldwide. And they're having great results with it. It's because of different frequencies in different areas. Shungite doesn't just have an effect on frequencies, but also on radiation and toxins. So scientists, believe it or not, and I like to throw a little bit of the science out there for those that like to see the studies. Well, they've done the studies, and scientists are actually using Shungite gloves for high radiation environments right now. So when a rad particle, which is a radiation particle, comes in contact with Shungite, it basically breaks into its constituents and is non-harmful. So they're using it in different forms. Even spreading Shungite powder in fields to revert them from, past GMO fields or non-organic ones, to remove glyphosate, Roundup weed killer. It has an effect on that as well. So you can use powder yourself in your own garden. Because we weren't all taught years ago when Roundup came out, it's called glyphosate, how toxic it is and causes cancer. Well, that doesn't mean the crop is completely done or grandma's flower bed is done because she used it. No, get some Shungite powder, put it in there, regenerate it back, and you can do that. So the bees, yeah, we've had great results with that, and it continues.
Yes, and I love how you travel around and toss Shungite. Tell everybody about the grid.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, what Mary's talking about is what we call the Shungite grid. And you can actually view this now on Google. So it's in Google Maps. So if you type in the Shungite grid, I think there's 130 or 40,000 points now. So what it is I started alone. I didn't tell anybody because I don't want to be thinking I was completely nuts kind of thing. So what I do is take small Shungite nuggets, and I've driven the west coast of the United States now, I don't even know how many times, probably a dozen times at least. And I'll take Shungite and actually take the nugget and tuck it into, one example is in Northern California, the Great Redwoods. And there's a whole other show on that I could talk to you about. But I'll take the nuggets and tuck them into the bark of the trees or down near the base of them. And again, a whole nother story on this one, but don't let anybody ever say trees don't communicate, because I got my socks knocked off on that day. Funny. And it's coming back in now just thinking about it. That was interesting. So I have to watch that. But taking the Shungite and putting it on those places or in waterways, things like that. And you can think Shungite grid where these energy points connect. So what I'm doing in essence is building a Shungite grid wherever I travel. And this energy removes, again, harmful frequencies, toxins, Other energies can tie into it, so there's a bigger story there. But Shungite is one of those, it's a mineral, and it's actually found in Karelia, Russia. We can kind of get into that at the beginning here, but I should have had an example here. I have a Shungite pyramid, so it's black, completely black like that. And it's, again, a mineral from Russia. So we'll take the small nuggets, place them in water, and tree spots for grid points. And what it will do is actually, again, remove the toxins and tie it all in together. So we call it the Shungite grid, and people have done it worldwide. Yeah, so that's a little bit about that.
I love that. There's a tower in a certain place that I see at least once a week. So I had no cover of darkness. I just went right out in the middle of the day and went over and stuck the Shungite over there, gave it a little prayer, because I saw one of those really big birds. It was a can't remember if it was a red-tailed hawk, I think. Maybe it was a hawk, I think, was making its nest up there.
Oh.
And I looked now this year, it's not up there. That's, you know, not the place you want to be. So I thought I'm gonna help that along. And so I joke with people that I eat it in the honey. I put it on my face. I've got it on my body. I had it in my ear. I used to say, just stick that Shungite in your, I had it in my ear, but I lost that one. So there's so many things you can do. Can you tell people about putting the nuggets in the water? I think that's fascinating before we ask you all these other questions.
Yeah, sure, no problem. And I'll actually grab right here, sitting next to me. Hopefully, a little bit of shows on video. So this is I'm in my office here at Mystical Wares. A little water decanter. And I have 3 Shungite nuggets in there. And I wanted to actually give you a visual so people know, because I was asked, give me directly in the water, directly in the water. So you want type 2 Shungite, the regular Shungite without pyrite, and not the noble or elite that chips a lot. But regular Shungite, put it right in your water glass. And to do a little explanation, it's instant. So Shungite works on the frequency level. It's a carbon based, but it's not a piece of charcoal with a bunch of little pores in it grabbing particulates, this and that, and you don't have to run it over. It's frequency. So you can think of like a radio. So it's instant. When you turn on a radio in your bedroom, the music's there right away. It's all encompassing. Same with Shungite. So you'll take the 3 nuggets, drop them directly in your water. And what that's going to do is not only have an effect on the harmful toxins and chemicals, the fluorides, the chlorines, and different things like that in there, but you want to structure the water for your individual self. And what Shungite will do is, again, reset the water so you can basically, and I would suggest adding this on, telling your water you love it, of course, and there's nothing new to that, but after it's been reset by the Shungite, then it's really going to reset for you. So when you drink this Shungite energized water, it's more biocompatible for you. So if you didn't do this and you took a glass and just took some water out of the tap and drank it with all the chemicals and toxins, and by the way, that water went through mechanical pumps and electrical pumps, and then 45-degree turns in pipes. All of that on the molecular level affects the water. Dr. Emoto did studies on this, and somebody can Google that later and look into it. But water does align. So when you put the Shungite, tell it you love it, drink the water. In essence, your body's going to now absorb that biocompatible water, and you're going to absorb about 90% and excrete about 10. And if you didn't do this, it'd be just the opposite. So if you drank the water, you'd keep maybe 10% in and excrete the rest, which is why most of us walk around dehydrated, whether we know it or not, because we're not drinking loving, living, biocompatible water. And it lasts forever. So anybody can do this for the rest of their life. Get their 3 Shungite nuggets, and they're inexpensive. You can get them for like $1 each. Put them in your water, and they last a lifetime. And then take the 2 seconds and tell your water you love it, and then drink it. And that makes a huge difference. Because every part of our bodies, of course, regenerates every day and through the years. A different organ, all the cells replace themselves. So when you're rebuilding every day, as we do, or through the years, with loving, living, energized water, well, imagine what's going to happen to your vehicle we call a body. It's going to be a whole heck of a lot better. And it's going to rebuild energetically better. So I'll tie this in really quickly. So let's say I have you can't really see on the video, but let's say I had a big old scar on my hand or something, for example. Well, we just talked here for a moment, and I said that your skin, I think it's maybe every 7 years or something, the skin's replaced itself. Well, why would you have a scar on your hand then? If all those cells there lived and died and split into new cells, well, what they're doing is actually matching your energy body or aura. And it's the carbon copy or blueprint. So I'm bringing this in because when you're drinking loving, living, Shungite energized water, you're going to make yourself whole again. So basically give yourself a chance to reset And when you're telling it you love it, basically it's going to go where needed. And this is science as well. So again, I referenced Dr. Emoto. He did studies. For those that don't know, he basically took water. Again, I'll just paraphrase and make it quickly. Told it he loved it, froze it, made beautiful shapes and sacred geometry, did just the opposite, negative energy and words added, and it was disruptive. Same with plants. If you curse or yell at a plant, it's going to shrivel. It's not going to grow as much as, well, kind of like us, right? I mean, if we yell at us or our kids or something, or tell them you love them, well, guess who's going to benefit and grow better? Energy matters, even in the water, is why I was bringing that all in. So when you tie it back into the whole physical part, again, you shouldn't have that scar. So if we all, start with the right building blocks and ingredients, the good, clean Shungite water, and then work on our own energies, we can make huge changes physiologically. So on healing ourselves.
Yes, and our friend Michiko Hayashi is doing Professor Emoto's work still now. The doctor passed away, and so she says when you drink your water, you say, water, I love you, water, I thank you, water, I'm sorry, water, please forgive me. When you pass over big bodies of water, and you just love up your water, right? And the books for kids are now out. So if you don't know Michiko, she was on the program before. She's a lovely person, and every night she does healing for the world. So she has a representative of the world on her her computer program. So she sends healing every night. She's up to, I don't know how many weeks of healing to the world. It's pretty awesome.
That's a great idea. No, that's awesome, dude. Just, use your imagination and have the same thing over your little, out of reach, but a little globe with the plant, and just do exactly that. And another thing on the water, you can vortex it. So to the right, if you stir your coffee, tea, water, whatever you're drinking, to the right, and I actually, again, everything's off camera, a little meter over this called an experimental life force meter that reads the orgone energy of the environment, living energy, life force. So when you take a glass of water, stir it to the right, you'll get this reading of living water on it, and it'd be just the opposite if you vortexed it in reverse. So I'm telling you, if you're going to stir your beverages, I'd suggest stirring it clockwise and adding that frequency or energy of love to it, and then that's going to give you a little bit more of a boost as well.
I love that. So are you still producing the honey and the cream, the face cream?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we still make Shungite honey and the Shungite skin balm, and it's all organic. So we use the organic honey, non-pasteurized. So and honey is the world's best antibiotic. It has antimicrobial properties, antibacterial, antiseptic qualities. There is no better antibiotic on the planet, and doctors will tell you the same thing. And then we take and add a small portion of regular Shungite powder to it to enhance it. And then with I think we call it Shungite skin balm now. It is just that organic beeswax with Shungite powder added to it. And you can think of that as, and I usually use it as a chapstick, psoriasis, eczema, all sorts of things, because Shungite, when you add it to a product, again, removes toxins. And on the energy level, it's all energies. So it's whatever you need. And for us individually that understand that on whatever level each of us are at, well, it can be that. And that's the beauty of it. So the more understanding you have, the more you can do with Shungite, and the more of an effect it'll have.
Sometimes I forget which way to do the, I take a big, or not big, but I take my portion of the honey. I forget about which way, and I just put it in there and I say, do your best. I forget how to do it. But do you still do the dandelion balm one? That's the bomb diggity.
We do. We have a limited supply of that, of course, just because of the dandelion's hard to get, and we have to use dandelion. So right now, this time of year, great. We should get out in the fields and just grab big bags of it. We do have some here at the Mystical Wear store. It's not online now, but Sheepy Morning, my wife, does make that. And yeah, that is fantastic stuff. It's great for inflammation. Also, and because we only use organic ingredients, no chemicals, it's just organic beeswax and Shungite and things like that. There's no real issue with any, no chemical sensitivity issues.
Yeah, it's great on my face, because since I've been taking all the herbs I've been taking lately to clear my liver and all my different stuff, my face has been breaking out. So I put it on my face. And then when I look in the mirror, I say, you're getting better looking every day.
Perfect. I'd suggest Shungite in water as well. So for skin irritation or sensitivity issues, use your Shungite water as well, and in a bowl, and then you can put that on your face.
That's a good idea.
And then one other add-on because I can see it in your energy there, and I use it myself, would be, and people can make their own at home, but we have a Shungite pink Himalayan salt soap. So you don't have, you can think Epsom salt bath sort of deal, but long story short, you want salt in your aura or energy body with Shungite. So you can think salt grabbing the excess energies, and Shungite will remove them and let you restore yourself. So I don't have a bathtub in my house, I have a shower. So you can do it again in a soap form. And we use pink Himalayan salt and Shungite mixture, and that's great for skin, psoriasis, eczema, nerve issues, because many of our physical ailments or sensitivities are energy ones that are manifesting physically. So if I have a hurt, usually a sore leg or something like that's going on, well, it's usually an energy issue. And if I work on that energetically, well, guess what happens? The physical pain goes away. So that's one suggestion, would be using, again, Shungite with either in your Epsom. So you can put, if you have a bath, you can literally put 3 nuggets, the same ones you have in your water, or the same size, I should say, get 3 different, yeah, and put them in the bath. Clarify. Put those in your bathtub, and you can, that's going to energize that water, because of course our skin is our 3rd kidney, our largest organ on our body. Well, it's a big sponge. So again, I won't get too science here, but in 26 seconds, Mary, anything on our skin is identifiable in your blood. If you touch a door handle, if you put on skin lotion, if you hairspray, whatever, it's registered in your blood in 26 seconds. So everybody check their deodorants, and I think most of these of your listeners are aware, get rid of the aluminum that's in the deodorants, the chemicals, things like that, because it goes directly into your system. And well, it's not by chance there's aluminum in your deodorant. I know we're kind of getting off subject, but there's some glands right under your arms that aren't necessarily craving aluminum. And yeah. So I look at those type of things.
That's coming up. Okay. Yeah, I love the fact that you have assisted so much in healing the bees on this planet. And I was on the horn with somebody, you know, the other day, and she said, oh my gosh, there's a honeybee in my house. And I said, give it everything it wants. So, just, you know, from me, but I know I speak to everybody on the call. Thank you and your family for everything that you've done for Earth. We really salute you for that, because you guys have done a ton, and your lovely wife and daughter. And I just thank all of you. I thank the Shungite ball in your building for holding the energy. So I don't want to forget Marty's question here really quick. She wants to know, does Shungite help with tinnitus in the ear, or tinnitus? I don't know how you say that, but it's the ringing in the
It can, but that's a big topic for me. So because if you're intuitively inclined, you're working on your psychic abilities, things like that, well, that's going to happen. So, and that's a whole nother topic as well. So yes, it can have an effect. And yes, you can even take little nuggets or some of the Shungite rubber and just kind of tuck it in your ear canal, and you're going to have miraculous self-healing yourself with things like that. But because those that work with Shungite often are the metaphysically minded and spiritually inclined, and again, intuitives and psychics somewhat, whether they realize it or not, that tinnitus thing ties into that. And I haven't heard that talked about a lot. So even for somebody like me, I'll get the squealing, the squeals in the ear, that, you can think of that as a focusing of your antenna. Where our physical body is our antenna for the metaphysical frequencies. And now I'm an old guy, as you can see now, so I grew up with old rabbit ears on my antenna that kind of look like that with aluminum foil. So I'm just giving that as an analogy. So it's an adjusting of this aluminum foil, or your energy body for frequencies. So you're going to get the tinnitus. That's a symptom, one of the symptoms of becoming more connected. And I just wanted to point that out. So grabbing a piece of Shungite and holding it next to it, yes, it can have an effect on tinnitus. But again, if you're working on your additional abilities or activating chakras, things like that, become more psychic, you're going to get the tinnitus things. At least that's what happened for me. So I'm speaking from my own perspective. So I'm not saying to everybody, but for me, oh yeah, the whole grabbing the ears and the pain and the squeals. But the bigger answer is, as I focused and learned and expanded my understandings and abilities, that went away. The antenna got focused, kind of deal. So I'm kind of giving a little messed up analogy here, but I'm trying to get everybody to look at it. We're antennas, we're focusing, and you can focus with your intent and thoughts and emotions. But the tinnitus is often part of that as well. There's also, I guess, a frequency aspect to it, of course. So on that part, have her check maybe behind her bed, because often there's outlets that are right behind our bed, and it's science fact, if it's open, meaning just a plug, it's shooting electrons out about 6 feet. That's just what happens. And if we're, of course, laying there, recharging at night, trying to sleep and heal our energy bodies with all these excess electrons shooting out, well, that's obviously not a beneficial thing. So for her, I would suggest, and anybody, check behind their bed, and if they see that open outlet, well, plug something into it, and that'll get the electrons going to the lamp, the clock, or whatever the heck you put in it, or move your bed, or you can even buy little child safety plugs that, a couple bucks at the dollar store. Make some Shungite paint, put it on there, and plug those guys in. And that'll stop that excess electron flow from entering your auric field while you're healing at night. So that kind of, is a bigger picture on what was going on with that.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, and my black rocks all told me they wanted to be in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah, great idea.
My mahogany obsidian wants to be right by my head, and that is where the plugging in is.
That makes sense.
I don't want to forget people's questions, but we're going to get to the woo-woo, you guys. It's just that it's important to talk about the products, because people will be hearing Derek from all over, and a lot of folks don't have access like we do. So that's why we're talking about the products in the beginning, because I don't want them to miss that they can, or anybody who's listening, I don't want you to miss what these guys have, because these guys have what nobody else does at this moment, or maybe some of it, but not all of it. Okay, so my friend Harold from New York wants to know, after you use Shungite, does it have to be cleaned before using it again?
Okay, no. So if we're talking about, I'm thinking Shungite in your water, what you'll do, no, it'll last a lifetime. So an example, I have the same 3 small Shungite water nuggets in my mason jar. So I always tie in a lot of information. I only drink from glass or ceramic, never metals or plastics, for a lot of reasons. So those 3 little nuggets I have in there, I've had for 4 years now, and I'm going to have them for a lifetime. So there's the answer to that, last forever. But as far as cleaning, every couple weeks, you're going to want to take the nuggets out of your glass and rinse them under the sink, because they'll have what's called a biofilm, a slickness. It gets on your fish tank too. Well, that's a good thing, by the way, because it shows it's living water. But of course, you don't want it all over what you're drinking. So the Shungite will last a lifetime, the same 3 nuggets. But yes, every few weeks, depending on your water, because different water has different particulates in and things, just rinse them under your sink or wherever. Just rinse them off and toss them right back in your glass, and you'll use them for a lifetime. So they don't expire, they don't go bad, they don't get smaller, they don't wear down.
No, and you put it in the dog dish and water your plants with the Shungite water. And I had some out in the bird dish, but the birds kept messing around with them. So
let's do it. Yeah,
they will. They sure will. And then I've put Shungite in my yard, and Shungite. I mean, there's just it's most awesome thing. Can you talk about the sticker? And then I've got woo-woo questions for you.
Sure. Yeah. So what she's talking about is the Shungite stickers, and we have a couple types of them. You'd want it for your cell phone, because of course there's harmful frequencies coming from your cell phone, but really any electronic device that has a transmitter and a receiver, meaning it talks. And that can be your Wi-Fi router, your cell phone, your TV, your game boxes, all of these things talk on the internet or Wi-Fi. Well, we make a small sticker, and Shungite, again, as I mentioned in the beginning, isn't a size or volume deal. So you can have a small amount of powder. Again, you don't need a big 80s boombox radio to listen to your music on. You can get a little iPod and listen to your music, because it's frequency. So it's not a volume. So what I'm getting at here is a little bit of the powder sandwiched in a sticker, and you would just set these stickers get between the phone and your case, or maybe tape it onto your Wi-Fi router, things like that. So you can conveniently add Shungite to that electronics environment, because it's not so convenient to maybe duct tape a big Shungite nugget to your cell phone.
Yeah.
So we make the sticker forms, and they're easy. And nobody has to think you're crazy having this magic black rock on there. You can hide it behind your case. But no, there's been studies done on so many levels with Shungite, but it does have an effect on frequency. So the sticker's great for, again, any electronics. You'd want to basically put it on. You don't have to peel the sticker off either. You can just get Scotch tape and kind of tape it on to your device, because you're going to have to upgrade your Wi-Fi router in every few years. And you don't want to have to buy a new sticker, because it's not about money. It's about love and energy.
Right.
So if you're going to buy Shungite in whatever form it is, hey, make it last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way to do it.
Yes. What do you think about those hornets, those really big ones?
Yeah, those are crazy. And they're calling them murder hornets, and I think they're an Asian hornet. Yeah, they're here in this area. We had them, hornets or wasps, pick at our hives last year, our Shungite hives. I didn't get to see them, so I don't know which ones did it. But I'm watching for them myself, and those they can actually sting through bee suits. We don't need bee suits with Shungite bees because the Shungite also takes off not just the excess energy. So think if we're all stressed and tense, the bees get the same way from harmful frequencies and just having to dodge cars across the highway and stuff like that. Well, they have that stress removed from them as well when they're around the Shungites. So it's just benefits all around.
Yes, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to send the murder hornets some love.
Yeah.
I thought I saw something pretty dang big last year. It was the biggest thing I ever saw. So I wonder if I saw one because it was pretty darn big. So the other day, you guys you went ahead and subscribed to Gaia TV, and you sent out some little clips where we could watch some things. Some of your friends you sent. And the one I watched, I'm going to watch more, is the one on the hologram. And I was just talking about why, my guides, what they do is they say, go outside and look to the east, right? So I go outside to look to the east, put my camera up there. They make my hand go to where they want me to take the picture. I take the picture, and there's something incredible in there. Did it the other day, and what it was is it distinctly showed a pink and gold line right down the middle, which coincidentally is what I had been working with for about a week. I don't want to tell you the whole thing. It's involved in, this is really more about the hologram. So the photo in there, once Melanie Long developed it, I could see everything I needed to see. It was a message. And then right after that, she sent me the link to the hologram thing. And I'm sure over there where you guys have mystical wares, you probably heard me yell, I get it. Because what the hologram is it's a higher dimension speaking to us, lower dimension in symbols. Now, we know that, but really, this lady spoke for like 45 minutes. It was the most beautiful thing I ever heard. Can you talk about the hologram for a minute?
Sure, there's lots of, and I'll give you a little forewarning on those, the Gaia links. And it's just for those out there that are members of Gaia, not stealing their videos or anything like that. It's an aspect of your subscription. There's only 24-hour limit though. So when I do post these, so anybody that's interested can join the Mystical Wares Facebook group, and I'll most days try and get up a slew of videos, but 24 hours is the catch. From the minute the first person hits that link, there's a 24-hour countdown that those are available. But I'll put up more and more as requests. So I just wanted to point that out. Yeah. As far as the what's called the hologram, there's lots of terms for it. Or the matrix. I guess it depends on what level of understanding you're looking at it from and on frequency. So when they talk about the hologram and shapes and things, well, a shape and everything has frequency. So basically everything can break down to frequency. Even color is a frequency. Thoughts are frequency. All of that matters. So basically, I guess one way of looking at it is as our understandings as individuals grows, we build that bigger puzzle in our head, a picture, I should say, of this existence. You see and experience more of the game. So there's ways to look past and it's it's really hard to speak about this because you think look out away from yourself, and that's one way of experiencing it. So you can actually go out at night and look up in the sky, and I've done this, and you can actually see what's called, again, the grid, the hologram, the matrix. A false facade. There's lots of ways of doing that. And then it's for you to tie in us as an individual, because we don't just have our two eyes, of course, our physical eyes, we have the third eye and other ones. So tying in all these other senses and chakras gives you that bigger perspective, and you can see past it and do more with it. So I wouldn't, and you can think of it as an energy, there's different layers. So there's even an energy grid, you can say, around the planet that's false. There's even false grid lines. So often we think of grid lines on the planet's surface. Well, some of those have been manipulated and changed. You can think of them as chakra points. There's reasons, the Washington Monuments, where it is. There's reasons certain buildings are in areas, and think control centers, again, think Earth's chakras. So when groups know that those exist, and then they know that there's metaphysically minded or spiritually minded groups as well, there's always a sleight of hand going on, or a control game, or hey, this is a PowerPoint, but we're gonna move it and say it's here, so they keep focusing on that. So, again, the whole slide of cards thing. So really the bigger answer, and you're seeing it too because you keep expanding and realizing more, which is fantastic to see in people. One way is to go inside and look from there. So that's a whole nother big picture talk as well. But the grid or the matrix, the hologram, I think she was calling it in that particular video. Again, it all depends on your perspective on how it's explained. It's something for you to realize that there's more beyond. And I guess I kind of have to keep you vague like that because it's so individual. It depends on your understanding. So if I start talking about different frequency beings where somebody just knows about what they're calling extraterrestrials floating around in spaceships out there, well, 99.99% of this universe is invisible to us, and that's just science fact. The scientists will tell you that. So an example is when they take a picture of the nebulas and they show you the pretty pictures out there, and then they'll show you the ones in infrared. Well, that's where everything is. And it's for us individually to understand that and realize. So when we're looking at the holograms and grids, to realize that's just a fraction of it, and that we should open up our chakras or senses or understandings to experience more. So it's kind of a limiting factor. I know I'm all over the place, but it's one of those things.
It's getting me right to my next question. It's perfect. Okay. And that's why I love to invite people on that have so many different opinions and understandings and just these lifetime studies of what this all is because we all see it differently. Isn't that exciting? I love it. The reason why the lady's hologram presentation meant so much to me was specifically about these symbols, the symbols I was seeing and how it's talking to me. That's what was so exciting. So can we talk about, just for 1 second, kind of the two realities that are going on today about what's really happening right now? Because people who are sort of in one spot are feeling this staying in the house situation one way. And then people who are in another frequency spot are experiencing it in a different way. You kind of touched about that. Can you say anything about it? Does anybody wish to come in about that?
Yeah, that's... Yeah, there's so many levels on that. Again, it's an understanding of what's happening. So the big, I guess I'll just be blunt, as everybody that knows me knows I am, and just kind of say how I see it, my experience.
Well, I got the F-bomb if you need to drop anything. So just go ahead. All my guests lately have been saying it, so I got the F-bomb. Anyway, go ahead.
That's funny. I'm going to have to get one of those. I'll put it on my walls all the time. Yeah, so again, well, okay, I'll just give some information on what's happening now in 2020. And by the way, this was all known years ago that this was going to happen. And when you take a picture of what's happening now and go far enough out, and let's keep in the 3D for now to the planetary level, well, there's whole planetary alignments happening. And it's going to be hard to do in this video to get an example of my hands here, but I think, Jupiter, Mars, just line up the planets sort of thing. Well, we all know, and we've been taught that the moon has, again, energy that affects the tides, and it affects us on many levels. Energy's frequency as well, so it means frequency. Well, not just the moon, every object up there, and then, whoa, when they start lining up, think about the more pull from them. So all of those type of things matter. I'm just being vague here for a reason, because there's others that get into specifics on the planetary alignments, they get to junctions, the retrogrades, and there's something to all of that, because we're energy beings on this planet. So of course that has an effect. So the virus, and I'll just say the drama days of the virus is just a symptom. They knew it was going to come. It happened before in the last pandemic back in 1917 or something. The same thing. It happens in cycles. These are all cycles that happen. They're frequency cycles. And for those that are aware and realize that, you can, and I used the analogy the other day. Okay, this may not be for it, but I'm an ex-surfer guy. So I grew up in Huntington Beach, California. So my freshman year of high school, the first class would be get your surfboard and go to the beach. Well, there's waves that come in, of course, sets of waves. So not just the wave that comes in, multiple sets, and then there's pauses and cycles. And if you're aware of that, you're not just that surfer sitting out there, oh, a wave came in and ride it. And if you expand your understanding, you know that there's sets of waves and they'll get bigger and smaller. And then there's cycles. The pattern grows. Well, it's not just the ocean caused by the moon. Biggie size that up to the planets, same thing. There's cycles. And at this time, in 2020, there's multiple cycles or sets coming. So what I am doing, and I would suggest, is I'm trying to be that surfer in this odd analogy I'm working with here, and get up on my surfboard because I see the sets coming and take advantage of the times, because there's multiple sets. So I'm maybe learning some new tricks or something on the surfboard analogy or whatever it is. If bring it back home here in the metaphysical. Well, I'm working on my energy. It's called manifestation, and I would really focus right now. And I just suggest to people, see the best you. See what you want, not getting there. So on the whole, and this all ties in together. So on the energy healing thing or manifesting for yourself. So let's go with the healing part. If you have an injury, I would suggest not seeing that injury being healed, all the blood going to it, all it closing up and this, that, and the other. No, you're programming that energy. And this is science, by the way, too, not just woohoo. You're programming your energy body for perpetual healing. Get to the end result. See you already healed, or you already at 100%, so that you're going to manifest that. Otherwise, you're just continually, perpetually healing in energy forms. So see the end, which is what these times are now, meaning see of what you want best for you, and put as much of your imagination, because your imagination is real, into that and see it such. And that's programming. We call it healing, lots of things, but those are good things to do now with the energies in flux. So because everything's malleable, you can think of it as chaos. Well, let's to give it a little better picture, think of the caterpillar is going to become a butterfly. Well, we are all caterpillars. When the butterfly or the caterpillar goes into the cocoon, kind of turns into a mush. Well, that's chaos. That's about chaos theory, lots of things. And well, that's sure not a butterfly. How did that pile of mush from a caterpillar turn into a butterfly? Energy. It had the thought, the impression, the energy body of the butterfly already there, and I'm calling it mush. I'm sure there's a more scientific name, but I don't know it. Yeah, it turns into the butterfly. So it's matching the energy body that's already there is what's going on. And that's what I suggest, should be doing now too. We're in that chaos moment. Our lives are upturned. We're home. We're all walking around with masks because we're scared. We're not sure. We're getting contradictory understandings. And some doctors say this, so I get it. Not all doctors. We don't know. We're trying to do the best we can. So long story short, see yourself 100% already at your best, not just physically, emotionally, energetically. All of these levels matter. So ride the wave and see the best you possible would be what I would suggest right now.
Absolutely. So we're the goo and the pupa. I waited until you took a drink so I could make you laugh. But, last night on our group on Facebook called Hands of Light, I asked the question, what have you learned in the last few weeks? And we got back messages that just made me so excited because, I'm the last person that's going to say all is bright and pretty. So this really hard time that some people are going through, I had my hard time, my really defining moments a couple years ago. Lost my family, lost my dad, moved, everything restructured completely. So I, right at this moment, are feeling peaceful, and I can assist in however way, some small way I can assist from a peaceful point. But it doesn't mean that those that are here in the peaceful point aren't recognizing the difficulty, the real difficulty that people are having, and the deaths and the fear and all that. What we're saying is when we're in the goo of the pupa stage, what we're saying is we're going to recognize the manipulation of our free will, okay? And we're going to recognize what is going on outside, because big shifts are happening. People are beginning to see what was behind the curtain right now, right? And we are sitting at home and we're finding out about ourselves, I'm hoping. So if anybody is still there just watching TV all day, come on now, turn that TV off and go inside and look inside ourselves to find out, how'd you get to this point? What are we going to do to heal, right? And really, if you're spending all day thinking about the chips that are coming in or the vaccines or the murder hornets, come on now, we can go higher, right? Okay. I believe, this is my humble opinion, I believe, and I have it on some pretty good authority. That's another video, kids. I have on a pretty good authority about those vaccines. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I don't know yet because things change all the time. But I'll tell you, not going to get one because it's taken me 50 years to get all that stuff out of my body. Mm-hmm. Okay, I had a lot of vaccines for a couple reasons. I had a lot of medication for a bunch of reasons. And I woke up a long time ago and I thought, there's a better way, and I really kind of just got all that out and better for it. And so you know, that's just not going to happen. So my reality is different right now, really. And so it's a peaceful reality. And what I just want to hand back to you there, while we're in the gooey pupa stage, really, I mean, what Derek is talking about really is where we're at. We want to support the body, we want to support the mind and the spirit. The body speaks to us, and we just really, really want to listen. Do you believe the virus was a patented thing?
Uh, there, yeah, there's several versions of it though. So yes, it's made, but it's also there's lots of versions. There was a natural one that they modified, and uh, who knows specifically if somebody actually ran out of the lab and did something. It doesn't matter, because if that specific virus, there was going to be another one anyway. It doesn't matter. It was going to happen just because of the energies. So the waves are coming in. It's going to happen regardless. So it's for us to know that, or be as aware as we can, and hopefully like we're talking about, advance ourselves, sort of thing. And it's the virus this happens, I forget, I don't remember the exact numbers. I wasn't sure we were going to talk about this, so I would have got the specifics. But the last influenza stage, it just happens. It ties into society, the economy. These are all cycles that are working together: society, the economy, and then the planetary ones as well. And there's just big shifts that happen. So that's why I say the virus drama or distraction, that's a symptom. That's nothing. That's it. And yes, people are dying from that, but it's also to be honest, with this virus, the issue is the infection rate, not the death rate. If it was reversed, that's the big deal. But I don't know if too many people are talking about that. So it's still just drama, distraction. Talk about the virus. Wear your mask, and get out of the sun. Well, what I would be doing during those times is looking at everything they're telling us not to do, and maybe wonder why. Now, why would they maybe be keeping us at home, out of things like the sunshine and the environment, frequencies? And by the way, it's scientific fact that humans' feelings, thoughts, and emotions have an effect on photons. Again, I won't get too sciencey here. Photon, particle of light coming from the sun, makes up all matter. What did I just say? Our thoughts and feelings affect matter. That's a fact. That's scientifically proven. And once we know that and understand that and realize, oh wait, these energies or feelings we call subtle energies, or the welling up sensation around our heart. Well, we all feel that, and it comes off our body. That's a tool. That's an energy we can use, and they know that. And these are malleable and expandable at these times if you're aware. So, and just different levels on all of that. And it's not like some big secret. If you don't know, you don't get an upgrade. No, that's not what I'm saying either. But there's more options available during these energetic times if you work in more energies. So it's one way of looking at it.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. So today I wanted to shift something. I went outside. I sat in my little chair out in the sun, because sometimes every 5 minutes it's going to rain, right? But today was really sunny. I went out and I sat in the sun. I did what I needed to do, and it just happens faster. So if everybody is inside, please just be being productive in the mind, right? Working on self, becoming the cleanest vessel for the optimum highest frequency. That's all I have to say about that. Well, I was listening to, I don't know what how to say this gentleman's name, but I think his name is Dr. Butter.
I don't know.
So somebody special sent me that today. He had all the facts and figures. So please to remember, everybody, the facts and the information is out there now. So if you want to know this stuff, it's out there, everybody. It's out there. Who are the archons, right? You want to find that out? Go find it out. I mean, what's the opposite? You could be watching Jeopardy. Jeopardy is always going to be on there. So now's the time to research, reflect, and eat great food, drink that Shungite water, give a lot of thanks, right? Okay, so, and what you send out, everybody, it comes right back, does it not? I mean, people ping pong off each other. So if your Facebook friend feed is full of arguments, you need a new feed, okay? So come on, I'm gonna make a plug here. Come on over to Hands of Light on Facebook, because we are about helping one another and being peaceful right now. Does that mean we are part of, what was the person calling it today? It was where you're only looking at the positive? No, not at all. Because we know that you have to walk through your shadow, right? I mean, we have to take a look. And I remember hearing some of this Q information about, I don't remember how many years ago. It was a while ago, a few years ago, right? But beyond that, even like 5-6 years ago, other stuff hooking together. So I knew about that stuff coming on, and now it's very, you can sit home and watch that all day. Do you want to? I don't think so. Go higher. That's what Derek's talking about, going higher. So vitamin C, the sun kills virus, right?
Yeah, I mean, the virus is, there's a whole new understanding of that now anyway. You can't even catch it. They did studies. I think a whole article's been put on this. And years ago, they took horses, believe it or not, put bags over their head, had them, somehow they got them to sneeze in it and put on another horse. You can't catch a virus that way anyway, but I don't get too much into that to get your video deleted off YouTube.
No, but what I was saying though is if you're just regularly taking the vitamin C, you're in a higher frequency, right? That's where we want to be.
Yeah. Basically, so if the only reason you can get sick anyways, if you're already compromised, and I'm not talking about just this virus, any virus. So of course, common sense would be every day take care of ourselves physically, energetically, emotionally. All of these bodies of ours matter: the energy body, the physical, and the emotional. So all three, when any one of those three are compromised, well, that's when you're going to get sick or injured or have, they call them mental breakdowns or things like that. That's your mental energy. So all these different bodies, so that we need to focus on them all. And then when any one of them is weak, well, that's when you can be compromised. And regardless if coronavirus is here now or 10 years ago, you get some other virus back then. So it's really, yeah.
But not even talking about the virus regarding the vitamin C and the going out in the sun and stuff, but talking about really clearing out what's been going on with us in the first place, which was we ate awful food for years and years, right? We have all these other outlying conditions. We've been taking medication for such a long time, that sort of thing, right? And so if we go in there and level by level clear some of this out, we are going to be better off no matter what's coming next, correct?
That's correct. So yes, on that, I see so I'll drop down to the 3D aspect, and in my mind, I put it that way. In addition to that would be things like zeolite clay. Mm-hmm. If you're aware of that. So it's a clay that you can get, and it's a nano-sized particle so it won't just take care of the negative or the toxins in your digestive tract. It'll pass the blood-brain barrier and get into your organs and brain and remove metals and toxins. So yes, things like the vitamin C's and the zeolites. So the vitamin C to help you rebuild, but remember, you're an antenna and you have a bunch of metal in you from everything we've grown up with, eating, drinking, and breathing. There's metal particulates in all of it. Well, and a lot of it, unfortunately, isn't by mistake either. So that's why I mentioned the zeolite would be to get some of those harmful particles out of us so that we can heal ourselves and let the vitamin C's and things like that do its 3D work.
Right. And I just want to say that, a lot of us didn't know a long time ago about that. And so we're not being negative here. And we created our reality of not feeling well and being ill, but we can recreate it. So just remember, every day is a brand new day. Every day you have that chance to eat better and get outside. And because nobody's telling you can't go outside. We just really, come on now. Because I've heard people actually say that. That's not what's going on. Please go outside. Okay, you know what? It's almost coming up on an hour, but I didn't get into the woo. Have you got a few more minutes?
I got as long as you want.
Okay, awesome. All right, so what I heard the other day when you were talking with Metaphysical Karen, you were talking about frequencies when people would go, say, to I think it was a state park. I didn't hear this whole thing. It was, I think people would go missing in these parks. And you were talking about how suddenly it would be a change in a frequency. Could you speak to that just for a minute? Could you explain what I'm talking about here? Not as well as I know you can. I'm not saying it very well.
No problem. Yeah, and when you're talking about that, I was on a radio show with someone named Paranormal Karen, and she's on YouTube as well. We were talking about the missing 411, and there's been books on that. And I actually live in Darrington, Washington, for those that don't know. So out in the boonies, there's you actually have to drive 2 cities away to even find a traffic signal. So it's pretty far out there. And this is the area, and believe it or not, even this past year, I actually came up on at least 1 or 2 of the vehicles of these missing people myself. Because I have a Jeep, so I drive the mountain roads. I only mention that because I'm out there deep, and I'll see a vehicle, and then if it's still there a day later or something's a little bit off, because I know there's nothing out there. So I've come up on these vehicles, and so we talked a little bit about that, and there were people, the frequency part you're talking about. So there's lots of, let me summarize this. So there are many missing persons that happen in the area. They're not all the same thing. Some are what's called abduction. Some are just straight up fall down a cliff, hurt, and they get lost and they're not. That happens. Also, what happens is frequency. So I'm trying to get, because how do I term this? I probably don't have the vocabulary for it, but think it's a shift in frequency. I'm not default to the term frequency, but it actually shimmers. So if you were to see this in your environment, there would be a shimmering or a weakening of our 3D, I'll just term it, and you can actually step into other frequencies or environments. And people can make these. It's called holding frequency or energy, and some healers do it and some teachers do it, and we do different degrees here at Mystical Wares, just holding the love energy or frequency. And we do a love one. That's to tell you there's also different ones. So out there, when the right circumstances are such, and often the person is the last key to it, their thoughts and feelings, the frequency or shifts in dimensions, lots of ways of saying it, happen, and then you'll just step through what's I've heard called portals, all kinds of things. You'll see different entities. It's all there. That ties us back to me talking a little bit about the nebula and the scientists showing you a snapshot and then showing you another one in infrared with 90% more meat there or material that's just off our visual spectrum as humans. It's the same thing out there. It's frequency. So again, us as humans, we're limited on our what's called a visual spectrum. We can only see so much just off of that, which is also where our energies work on our heart and things. You think tune in the dial and then you can actually step into different environments. So I guess an easy way of putting it, some people fall or step into other dimensions. I mean, that's one way of looking at it. And then depending on the individual, different things happen. So there's so many ways we can go into that. Did you have any other specific questions?
No, I think some of it's becoming available right now more and more, isn't it though? Because people are seeing beings like crazy and shimmering energies and light where no possible light could be. And I thought I saw that the other day, and then it turned out the next week it was there, and it wasn't that. I figured out what it was, because you want to be logical and serious about this stuff. You don't want to, you don't want to say you saw Sasquatch when it was the milkman. I mean, really. Yeah. So I put out photos all the time on my Facebook page. Some of them I know 100,000% that that's a UFO. Some of it I just put out there and see if you guys can figure it out. but seriously though, the frequencies are just changing, and now we're able to see some beings coming in, right?
Oh yeah, how I can tell you that, so as I like to explain it as the humans as a radio. So our physical body's a radio. Think of our chakras as the dials. So the frequencies have always been here, but they're such now that we're able to tune, depending on each of us individually, our radios for, maybe we're born with, let's say, AM radio stations. So just the basics, and we're the ones that are watching the Kardashians all day long and sitting home doing that. Well, you can get some FM channels or frequencies if you start picking up some books, some understanding, building that puzzle piece together. Delve into the woohoo stuff. Realize that intuition is fact, not fiction. It just is, and telepathy everybody does, and every living creature does. And then you get more. So with the planets aligning, more frequencies or channels are available, and if we focus on it, you can now get high def radio. So think AM, we're just kind of going through life doing it. FM, you get a little bit into the woohoo. You start, working with your healing, your energies, your empathic abilities, and then now again, because of this extra energies all lining up. So again, the whole planet's lining up, doubling down on the energies. It's really hard to get a description here with just words, or if I could, let's work this real quickly. Let's say there's a planet out here, if you see me on video, and somebody's on it with a flashlight and they're shining it at Earth. Okay, so let's say Jupiter, a guy in a flashlight shining at Earth, that's that frequency from Jupiter. Well, that's energy coming from Jupiter to Earth, and now the other planets are lining up in order. So that's a whole bunch of flashlights or energies lining up in sync all at once. And that's kind of what happens during these alignments. So more is there, and for those of us, and depending on which degree we've worked on our radios or played with our chakras or dials, you're going to get more. So yes, somebody like you is going to start seeing things. You're going to start seeing entities. Our mutual friend, I'll just say her first name, Kelly, who I was talking to earlier here today, an orb jumped right out of her hand right in front of me. She's 3 feet from me, popped by 5 feet in the air. Yeah, I mean, that stuff's going to happen, and she's just a ball of love. Who's so,
Absolutely.
oh, yes, is amazing individual. But yeah, that stuff happens, and it happens more and more in these frequencies. So I can go on for an hour on that and probably bore everybody to death. But really, I like the analogy of the radio, the chakras as dials. And
Mhm.
when we focus them and realize that we can connect these dials, our heart and our brains, then you have more input, more channels, more frequencies.
Beautiful. So that brings me right into the next thing, but I just want to say something about orbs. My friend sent me a video the other day that she was just with just her cell phone. There were orbs everywhere. It looked like a portal with orbs coming out. And definitely that is a frequency of she is a frequency of love.
Mhm.
So that is the highest level that we can get. And so we know when we're putting out that frequency, we know it. And we know when others are not and when others are. So we want to align with that, right? That's the highest frequency. Let me just ask at the end, which usually is the question I ask at the beginning, but we're not doing anything like we usually do today. How did you know that you had the abilities?
Um, that's an interesting question. I've never been asked that. To be honest, I didn't know because I grew up thinking everybody was this way. So I would actually get frustrated. So early in life, so my mom was what we term psychic as well, not out there, didn't know, I didn't know what the word psychic was, but she heard voices, and those voices just happened to save her life many times, including our lives. I won't get into specific stories, but growing up, already being what's termed psychic and empathic and a bunch of other woohoo stuff, I was confused, wondering why people would still come up to me even when I was a kid and they would lie to me or try and deceive me. And I could just see it and I'd know the truth and energetically. And I was confused. I'm like, what? So I struggled. I didn't know that there was things like that. Even literally the word psychic, I didn't know things like that. I'm like, what? Why is everybody playing these games? They're all playing a role. And I would just see everybody putting on a facade, an act that I could see straight through. And then I'd be confused on why they're still doing it, smiling right to my face. And I'm like, and so I didn't know, to be honest. And then I started later in life. I guess that put me in my 20s, just before my military career, where they got a hold of me and did a whole nother thing there. But then I started realizing, oh, they're calling it this, that, and the other. So it was more, I guess, a gradual understanding that everybody didn't access all those senses they had. They're senses, not abilities, meaning I believe we can all do all of this. It's just a matter of putting the understanding together. And yes, some people can do something a little quicker or faster or whatever, but we can all do these things. But I really didn't know, to be honest. So I just kind of stumbled into it. And then I heard that somebody was knew about, was psychic, this, that, and the other. And actually, way back when, it was somebody named Sylvia Brown. So I actually knew her for years. And started getting a little bit of training, understanding, and then realizing, well, wait a minute, these are classes, we can all do this. It's really just our own abilities, sort of thing. So long story short, I didn't know. I just had it, turned it on. But once I realized that others saw this as extrasensory abilities or something else, well, then you can play with it more and expand and realize and just build that picture of understanding. So my picture continually grows. Even as soon as about a month ago, I had a new, what we'll call an ability. I like the term understanding, turn on. And as I've talked to you about it in a couple of my classes here. So even for me, these things still turn on. Once you build that analogy or puzzle piece in your head, you're gonna have those aha moments or understandings or epiphanies. Well, then abilities on what someone was looking for will just turn on. They'll manifest because they're there anyway. It's just for us to realize it is what it is. So.
And it's still exciting, and every new ability that's coming for, I just want people to know that who are out there watching, everybody has abilities and they will turn on for you. I remember it was wintertime, I was sitting at my table and I recognized, after just listening to you, how long have I listened to you? So around me, I recognize it's like a Christmas tree. Stop, and it's like, he's talking about chakras and dials. Everybody, you can just adjust all kinds of stuff. There's all sorts of new things coming on. The human is fascinating, and as we understand more of who we are, which is what's going on right now, okay, so keep delving, keep digging, because what Derek's talking about is out there for you too.
Absolutely.
Do you want to tell anybody what the new ability was?
Sure. I don't know the name, so they laughed at me. I guess I'll probably get laughed at, but I won't hear it because I'm on video. So Claire Smelly is what I called it. I'm sure there's a name, but here, I'll give you a quick story. Again, I live out in the boonies of Darrington, so unfortunately, often I come up on people that wanted to knock a couple back before they went home drinking, and I would get frustrated at this. So, and I could always, so I can also astral project, remote view, lots of crazy stuff. So I could jump in their car if I wanted and look at them and read them, but I wanted a quicker way because I didn't want to have to do the whole, again, I'll be blunt, the whole psychic thing on the way home because I just had a long day. So I'm just wanting to relax. So I thought, oh no, I don't have to go projecting myself in that vehicle, just check on this guy or girl and see if there's an issue. I said, no, I can do it. And then all of a sudden I smelled the alcohol. I'm like, oh, Claire Smelly. And I heard giggling. It was one of my guys. I'm like, oh, Claire Smelly. So now it's funny. It turned on instantly. So now I can just smell, and I'll tell you exactly the alcohol they're drinking too. I don't care. It could be Budweiser, rum, whatever. And I'll know it. So long story short is I wanted a way to save my energy and self from having to do all of that, go into that guy's or whatever the individual's vehicle. So I made sense to me. I had that epiphany or aha moment. I'm like, wait a minute. I don't need to put all of my senses over there. I can smell it. So give me the smell. And I about swerved in. I'm like, oh, get your F-bomb. Damn, that was fast. I didn't warn you fast enough. But yeah, I was like fast. And then all of a sudden I smelled it. And I was like, oh, and it started from there. So you can turn on these abilities or understandings.
Yes.
By just understanding them, and then just keep expanding, and you can. So it was again, clairsmelliance. I'm sure there's a name for that. Oh wait, clairescence maybe. Is that?
Well, Marty's on. She should be. Yeah, Claire. No, it's not that one. Marty's on. If Marty, if you know which one this is. My new one is hearing outside of the brain.
Oh.
And the other day, it's only one person. It's my young friend that passed away, and I had my cheesy headphones on, and I was getting ready to help somebody, I think, and I heard, take that headset off. And I went, okay, took it off. And I thought, where did that come from? Because it was like somebody was standing outside my window yelling, and I was thinking, oh no, it's the bad guys, right? And then it reminded me later, the only other time I've heard something outside my head was that same young man who said, Mary, really, really loud outside my ear when I was getting ready to watch a medium. I was sitting in the audience. Yeah, it's just the same guy. And a couple of my buddies said, yeah, it's the same guy. He likes to mess around with you. He's always watching after you. And he comes through when it's a young person. So he's a big spirit on the other side. It's really kind of cool. But yeah, Claire Smelly is pretty cool. So I've been playing around for about a year about going physically, or not, it's not really physically, I just pop out of my body and go somewhere, and I only play around with my friends. And so I'll say, so do you see something on your right side? You kind of feel that right there? That's me kissing you. What?
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
Only my friends. I know you do that too.
Yeah, you can do that, definitely. Yeah, you can like twitch your ear or something. And I've done that. So like at a restaurant, if there's, we'll just say a guy not being too, usually the guy, not being too nice to his family or wife, whatever, fuck his ear a little bit etherically and distract him and things like that. You can do that all energetically, using the subtle energies. Yeah.
Sure. And think of all the stuff we're doing when we're sleeping. That's a whole other show.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
There are so many things for me to talk to you about, but I recognize we're getting towards the end, and I don't know if anybody else has a question there. The thing is about Derek is he is the real deal. So he gives readings that are spectacular. He's a healer. He has this wonderful shop. And I want you to talk, if you would, really quick, give the name, how to get a hold of you, that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah, we can be found online at mysticalwares.net. So MYSTICALWARES, spelled a little odd, so that's why I spelled it out. But I do sessions. And there's no limits there, so I'm open to whatever somebody wants to bring in or have done. But at our store here in Mount Vernon, Washington, Mystical Wares, it is the whole, I think polished rocks, gems, crystals, incense, all kinds of goodies here. As we term it, we provide the tools and items to help you expand yourself, be it even something like sage or a piece of Shungite. Both of those things are energetically important. So we like to have those tools and have the right ones available. So not artificial or some fake crystal or shungite or whatever, because it all matters. Energy matters, and if that's in an item or a person, it's not lost on me that it all matters. So we like to have the right items and things here available. So we even have Mary, what's called an organite station, where you can come and make your own organite out of beeswax. So things like that. So it's inclusive, and you can have fun here. And, so we welcome anybody to come see us once the virus drama days are done.
Right. And if anybody's ever had a reading with Derek, I'm sure you do the same thing as you do with me. He gets so excited and he talks so fast and he goes, oh, I can see that. He's just so animated. It's really fun to see. And you just walk away feeling better about yourself because you know you've had a thorough look. Yes, I love metaphysical wares. And go visit the big Shungite ball, everybody. It's just amazing. The last thing I want to talk about is you give what I term Derek's fireside chats every once in a while. So tell people where they can find you.
Oh, sure. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you join our Facebook group is where we put the alerts, but every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll broadcast live on Metaphysical Perspectives YouTube channel, and then we share that on Facebook. We just found out the easiest format, and they'll be archived on the Metaphysical Perspectives YouTube channel. But there's where we're going to bring in different guests, and actually starting here in a couple of days, we're going to start doing interviews and getting a lot more out there. Regarding a lot of these topics and what we can actually do ourselves and incorporate some of these understandings to help ourselves and our family around us, meaning the human family, all of us, because we're all together, all one.
Very good. There are a couple questions that I will answer afterwards, or maybe if Derek sees them later, maybe if he wants to. I just really appreciate you coming on today, and there's so many more questions. Maybe you'll come back another time. This is actually my second time interviewing you. Once it was on the radio, and we had the chance to play music, you know, before you, and I played all kinds of cool stuff. So you'll just have to imagine that, although we do have good music on Metaphysical Meltdown. So this is going to go now onto my husband edits it. It will go on YouTube. And so I want to thank everybody live. I want to say hello to Paula. I want to say hello to Lloyd and Sway and Eileen and Fran and Kelly. Lots of people that you know, Angela from the Showcase and Vicky, Barbara. I mean, there's just LaDonna's on, and Harold, my friend, and Alana. There's just lots of friends of both of us on, but also people that I don't recognize, so they're probably your peeps. And I hope that this video goes far and wide, because people need to know about your place and they need to know about your beautiful heart. And so I thank you, Derek Condit, from the bottom of mine. And everybody out there, have a good day. We love you. Don't worry. Be happy.